Welcome to another Dr. Spotfire session, now live here in the Spotfire Energy Forum. I'm very pleased to have with me the panelists. We're going to see in this session some unique ways to develop or bring solutions with the Spotfire. One is totally from DXP, like standalone. The other one is integrating the Spotfire web player. So again, this session is about why Spotfire excels for custom solutions. And we have here a panelist. If you want to have a seat, or you feel free to make yourself comfortable. So I start with me, Dr. Spotfire. Anyone have seen Dr. Spotfire videos? Okay, good. For those who doesn't, I'll send you the link. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn once a month, and there are different ways to engage with questions and answers. Then, Bobby?
Yeah, so, well, that's aggressive. I'm Bobby Nealon. I'm now the principal consultant and founder of Drill Down Analytics. That company has existed for about 7 or 8 weeks now. But I got into oil and gas probably 10 or 11 years ago, and got in at ConocoPhillips, and I would say that Spotfire was my gateway drug. I got in, and from there it was all right. Now I need to learn R, Spotfire, and all that stuff. But so I've done E&P, minerals company, service company. I kind of understand the business, and so what Drill Down Analytics is trying to do now is bridge that gap of like data strategy, understanding the business. How do we set business goals, OKRs, analytics, all that kind of stuff, and then but also being able to implement data systems downstream of that can answer those questions, and all the way from data warehousing all the way down to building out Spotfire reports. So excited to be here.
Thank you, Bobby. And now I have Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Henderson. I'm co-founder, chief analytics officer for Intertel. If you haven't heard of Intertel, we're a data analytics company focused on oil and gas, making asset evaluations faster, simpler. We built it entirely on top of Spotfire. My background is in E&P corporate finance, undergrads in statistics, so I have a big stats nerd behind me, like R, Python, data science. So we integrate that really, really well.
I'm Brock.
Yeah, hi. I'm the founder and CEO of WiseRock. My background is petroleum engineering. I was at Hess for 6 years, and similar, Spotfire was a gateway drug. I say that WiseRock definitely wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Spotfire. One, because it allowed me to have a career trajectory where they let me just focus full-time on building tools, kind of using it as a rapid application development platform at Hess, and then it went from there. And also because, we built many things and Spotfire iterated very rapidly, and then saw an opportunity to build something upstream of Spotfire, which we'll see today. And so that's been, we started WiseRock just doing Spotfire consulting, actually. And what we sell now is a software that's sold to upstream oil and gas operators, focused on production engineers, reservoir engineers, ops engineers, management. We bring all the data from most important operational data into one place: your forecast, your production allocation, well test, comments, your well history like a well view, and then all your SCADA, and a lightning fast web UI. And then we allow collaboration and exception-based surveillance and some other workflows on that. And what we're moving more and more towards is a deeper and deeper integration with Spotfire on top of that data for the predictive and prescriptive analytics.
Thank you, Brock. So Michael said, hey, I have you, I'm going to give you a big task with this presentation because it's right after lunch and people are going to be overwhelmed with information, and right after lunch is not like ideal. So for that reason, I said, well, let's have this Spotfire collide with Energy Bytes, and it's just a made up a Photoshop thing there with the panelists. The real one is this one. We had the honor and the opportunity to be in the Energy Bytes podcast with Nealon, with Bobby, and that was not too long ago, last year, and Spotfire and Energy Bytes, we were talking. I'm gonna let Bobby also talk a little bit more about this, because we want to have these, one of the mottos of Dr. Spotfire is that learning is not driven by answers, but by questions, and this session is going to be all about questions and answers.
Yeah, so neglected to say that I co-host a podcast, but it's through what's been called Digital Wildcatters. They're kind of rebranding towards Collide now. They've got Digital Wildcatters has their own platform. It's for oil and gas professionals. I'd encourage you to join it. And they also have a Collide AI, kind of like their Collide GPT, I think they call it, platform within there where they've trained it on a ton of oil and gas or energy-specific data, and you can go ask it any questions like, what's ARP's equation, and blah, blah, again, that's probably even overly simplistic, but yeah, we're hosting Energy Bytes. It's for data professionals in the energy industry and just talking to a wide array of folks, whether it's Spotfire, all the way up to Snowflake and down to individual practitioners, that use the data. And we just want people to have somewhere where they can learn about different technologies that are being used, and hopefully you listen to an episode, you take something away and say, oh, I want to check that out, or I didn't know I could do it that way. So I've had these three. I still got to get John on, but no pressure.
So this is going to be like a mix of podcast and Dr. Spotfire session, and the Collide word there in the middle is that community that for industry professionals. I encourage you to take a look, and if you haven't done already, it's a great platform. I recently joined. So for those who didn't raise your hand for the Dr. Spotfire, so here's how it works. We have monthly sessions and we have quick tip videos. The monthly sessions are live every month. The first Tuesday of every month, we are live in LinkedIn and YouTube. Subscribe so you don't miss any of those notifications. It's also in the Spotfire community platform. And what we do is just take the input from different means through the community, through the Spotfire portal, LinkedIn or email or whatever that might be. Even YouTube comments will respond. The sessions are recorded. You can watch them later. And then we take all that input and we discuss that internally with the engineering team, with the proper departments, and then we come up with, like with the data science team, we come up with new custom visualizations or data functions that we saw already. It's all part of, this product is for you guys, and your input is very valuable. Spotfire applications, accelerators, data connectors, and you name it, articles. So here's just a couple of sessions upcoming. Spotfire data connectors in June, data virtualization, and data on demand. That's the upcoming. We're gonna go deeper into that. It's 30-minute sessions, so yeah, that's real quick. And some of the latest Dr. Spotfire quick tip videos, we talked about map chart for beginners from geoanalytics perspective, how to remove empty options. Just some people like to remove that option for some reason. Action controls, incremental row appending when you have a lot of data and you want to just incrementally, without loading everything at once, just little by little. There's a quick tip video for that, and also the article in it. And then that's some other examples. So if you go to the community, there's a Dr. Spotfire link on top. Just click and check out about it. So with that, learning is not driven by answers, but by questions. So we have our first canned questions, and then we'll give the opportunity to you guys to answer and engage with the audience.
So this question's for both companies, and it's definitely interesting, the differences and similarities. But how does Spotfire work, or how does Spotfire play into your tech strategy? Like, what's been the differentiator, and why did you choose it?
Yeah, so like Jose said, we've built a software as a service application in React in the cloud, all custom code from the ground up. But then now we embed Spotfire inside of that application. And so what that's allowed us to do is keep our core product really, really simple. You can learn everything about it in about 90 minutes. The complexity is really on the back end where we deploy a data warehouse as code. And so what we're really just focusing on is the integration, and then the co-visualization of that data. You'll see it's a very simple UI for the core product, and then collaboration and annotation of that data. That's what we've sold from the beginning, and that's worked really, really well. But there's always questions about, well, now we have all this data in one place. What else can we do with it? And do you have this feature? Do you have this way to visualize that? And there's a temptation for, I think, every data-driven software company to try to become a self-service tool. And they start building their own, oh yeah, we have reporting and all this stuff, but that is a slippery slope. And so what we've done is instead partner with Spotfire where we don't have to build any of that. And we have this rapid application development platform built in. And so it allows us to kind of experiment and try out new features and maybe even things that become products in the future without complicating the core app. And so we're excited to see as more and more the industry uses WiseRock, it's over 10% of U.S. onshore oil and gas is now being managed inside WiseRock, over 40% of the Permian. It's all a common data model. And so we're excited to be able to deploy new Spotfire capabilities on top of that common data model very rapidly. And this allows us to do that without having to build the whole front end ourselves.
Thank you, Brock.
Yeah, and so at Intertel, we have a similar approach. I mean, a lot of our customers are doing asset evaluations, and then they're dumping those results back into Spotfire to look at type curves, forecasts, economics, and aggregating that. So we wanted to have an interface that everybody's familiar with. So if you've used Spotfire before, it's something that's immediately recognizable. But we bring, instead of, I guess, elevating to the cloud, we take the cloud, so all of our data functions, we bring that into Spotfire through some managed processes, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But we leverage Spotfire in a way in which everything's built on top of it, so it's really the bedrock of everything we do. And the nice thing about it is a batteries included tool. You have Python and R, other tools that enable you to do any level of data science and workflows all natively within the tool. And then the nice thing about the text areas is that it's effectively a website. So we've taken a lot of pride in how we formed a UI, UX around those capabilities to really give something that looks unique to us and enable customers to be able to do workflows that are really complex in an easy to navigate fashion.
So along those lines, we can ask the follow-up question of how does Spotfire work with Intertel?
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and click through, so this will showcase. So this is our decline curve analysis tool, and again, we've leveraged some things like JavaScript and being able to visualize when data functions are running, but we really have taken Spotfire and pushed it to the limits in terms of HTML and JavaScript and CSS. So the styling is all coming from our cloud. Our data functions are all coming from our cloud. But the data that you're putting into the tool never leaves the tool, so your data stays on-prem. So Spotfire is, it's a familiar interface, but it's also, something that we can fully customize.
Okay, thank you. You want to?
Sure. All right, so Brock, on your side, how does Spotfire work within WiseRock's application?
Sure, yeah, I think we're going to switch over to this video so I can pause it. Let's see. Is it working? Yes, it is. Okay. So what you can see here is just the WiseRock UI. Basically, just what's relevant here is you have well selector over here, and then you have time series visualization here. Let's see if I can make that go away. Okay. Yeah, and so then we have oil, gas, and then pressure there. At the top, you can see any comments made in your source systems. At the bottom, you can see ESP and workovers that were done over time. And so this is all pretty straightforward. What we allow then, as well as annotation on top of that data, which gets really useful for downstream analytics. So one thing that happens is here, this well experienced a frac hit. So we can annotate that and actually adjust the ARPS decline. You can see that being adjusted over time there inside of WiseRock. And then we can also clean up the source system variance events as individual events, like you can see here. Again, very useful for downstream analytics. And so we can categorize that there. And so how this comes into play with Spotfire is that some users will say, well, can you do log scale? Can you time normalize things? A million different ideas, right? And so this is pretty basic. We can show a few different ways to visualize this data in WiseRock. But what we wanted to do was avoid building all of that stuff for now until we figure out what customers are really going to use. And so this is a new UI that we're rolling out now that we think is going to really, it's going to make the Spotfire functionality much more core to our app. See this little plus button here? That basically opens up what we call a tethered module or dashboard. And so we're going to show the advanced plotting one here, which is pretty basic example just to make things simple for this presentation. So when they clicked open, everything you can see from this spot down to this spot is actually just a Spotfire DXP, and it's tied to the same well that you were on. And we're going to click play. And so we can obviously just tie into all of the functionality of Spotfire to very rapidly give people a simple UI to do the more advanced visualizations they want to do. And so that's just a couple more examples on this advanced plotting one. And then another one that people ask for is a map, right? And this is going to show the two-way binding where on the one hand, you can the Spotfire DXP has access to the full state of our core app through specially named document properties. So for example, it knows the list of wells that are marked in WiseRock. It knows the x-axis. It knows what filters are applied and how many wells are left. It knows what series are there. And every time somebody changes that in our core app, which on this screen is just this left side here, there's filters, within 300 milliseconds, the DXP's document properties on the web player have that. But then the cool thing too is if they modify those document properties using all the ways you can modify document properties with Spotfire, like with IronPython, you can then set those same things inside the core app. So you can change the y-axis, the x-axis, the wells filtered. And so it makes it feel as if you basically are just using one app that's synced there. And our customers can build these things. They just have to know how to set and get document properties. And so this map here is going to show the way it works kind of the opposite direction. That when you mark wells on a map, it's filtering rapidly inside of our core app, inside a React application. And again, it looks very native. It feels very native to them. And it took us an hour or two to build this little example. And then you can also do the pop-out functionality, which is cool for people who have dual monitors. Just click the little pop-out, and this is built into Spotfire, but it's easy in the web app too. They can now pull that to their right monitor, and they can have, 3 or 4 or 5 of these open, and they stay in sync, which is helpful for like well reviews and things like that. And so building on top of the Spotfire platform has been a huge enabler of us to go fast in this kind of this initiative we have to really enable more of the advanced analytics.
Okay, thank you, Brock. So you were saying that the right side of is the Spotfire, and the other side is your solution, and you integrate it with Web Player. Yep. So it's a combination of both. So now that we're talking about document properties, or you want to ask some more questions?
Yeah, I'm just not sure if we're going to get into it more, but we're talking about the technologies that enable that. We're going to. So I guess this one goes over to John with Enertel, but how do you guys use document properties to make your Spotfire apps more intuitive?
I think we need to change back the screen. There we go. So as you know, you can have data functions within Spotfire. So I think unlike a SaaS model, we don't have control over everybody's environment. We essentially give you a DXP. So we need to manage that. But one of the ways we can manage data functions and we can control the variables and things that go through those data functions is with document properties. So we parameterized almost a lot of the data functions in here. And on this, we're taking a variable of interest, we're taking a geospatial interpolation method, and giving customers the ability to choose from a drop-down what do you want to visualize, how do you want to visualize it, and then even things like color schemes, being able to quickly and dynamically choose between color schemes. So that way, if you've never used Spotfire before, it's all drop-down driven, so you don't have to learn how to use the tool. We're enabling typical functionality all with a button click. So I can turn layers on with a click of a button, or I can turn them off or change entire visualization styles.
So what we're seeing here, John, is that Spotfire is a great platform to create apps. And in this solution that we see right here is you're not using the web player or any other technology. It's pure Spotfire. someone look at this will say, is it really Spotfire?
Yeah, this is pure Spotfire, and again, it's a web page in the text areas, so it's easy to customize the look and feel of everything. We take pretty good pride in the UI UX of our tool. Yeah, so it's entirely in Spotfire. Everything's native.
So I have a quick question. So let's say that some of your customers say, hey, I love WiseRock solution and I want to integrate that Spotfire into WiseRock. It's all through document properties. That's all you need in order to merge them, kind of thing?
Yeah, if our customer had Intertel and they asked us to do that, then Clay over there could probably do it in less than a day. And yeah, so maybe that'd be a great idea if you want to share some customers.
Yeah, definitely. always looking to share customers.
You want to talk about this other? It's just it's the same. It's just a different slide.
Yeah, this is just showing a different slide. So the first one was looking at color scheme drop, changing the color scheme and being able to parameterize that and the outputs and visualize it in a way in which that I want to see. They're all colorblind friendly palettes, but this one is actually taking we're taking a different variable here. So we're changing how we're actually interpolating, and then the resolution of the results is changing based on a document property. So there's a slider that controls the resolution, the Kriging resolution, and it populates a higher resolution version. So again, just kind of showing you can take parameters that are going into a data function and then put it into an interface like a table and then just make it easy to iterate quickly.
All right, so Brock, how do you guys integrate Spotfire with WiseRock? And what enables, I think a lot of people think of most people in here are probably pretty good with Spotfire front end and understand Iron Python and those things, but I think the power on the back end and just some of the integrations probably amplify what you guys can do.
Yeah, so this is a little visual. Like I said before, the so this red box is it's kind of hard to tell without the red box, but that's everything inside of DXP. And then the stuff out here is our core React application. This is because they've opened the advanced plotting dashboard. So how we built this, a really cool thing, and I'm sure this would be part of that solution to deploy it inside SharePoint, is their JavaScript API. For Spotfire, allows you to take any web player page and just inject it into basically a div or an iframe inside any web interface. And you get all the lightning fast flexibility. And even if you do it in two, let's say you put another iframe down here, they talk to each other the same way they do in Spotfire. And so super intuitive. The other thing you can do is read and write filters down to the DXP, markings, document properties. And so what we've done is, and the auth as well. So they log into WiseRock, maybe with single sign-on from their company, and then when they open a dashboard, it just passes that through, so there's not a separate sign-in. And then that's how the tethering works, is through the JavaScript API. So our app is just constantly saying, every time you change something, push that update to that document property through the JavaScript API. And when they're interacting with the iframe with the Spotfire side, and they change something, or anything that they would have to choose to change the document property, maybe by reacting to a marking. Let's say you mark wells on a map, then that DXP developer would need to say, okay, when they mark the well on the map, update this document property that has a list of wells, and if they updated the right one, it would immediately mark or filter that here. One other cool thing that we did to enable that, for anybody who's a Spotfire developer in here, have y'all used the interaction pattern that if you mark something, and then you want to run an Iron Python script, you guys have done that workflow. So typically you would need to run a data function which would do a round trip to a tear server and just return back a new value so that a document property changes, and then that triggers an Iron Python script. Jose actually a couple years ago showed us a way to avoid doing that through a fancy way with a text area. That then wasn't going to work when we did it, inside of our app. And there's actually a C# extension, which I thought was amazing, where it allows you to completely skip that as well. And so I found that super useful. Other people in the room might want to know about that extension as well to make it to where markings don't have like a 1 to 2 second latency to run an actual script.
So, and again, like we were saying, like you got the Spotfire server, but I think there's been a lot of advancements on Spotfire's side as far as how you can deploy Spotfire server, even like the database you can use behind it. And previously, it was a lot of, Microsoft Shop, Windows heavy, SQL Server. But now, with Postgres and containerization in Linux, like how has that enabled you guys to do things more cloud natively?
Yeah, so one thing we found is that most people are comfortable with the cloud at this point, oil and gas companies, but they would like all their data to be by itself, and so we stand up a whole virtual private cloud for every customer. We're able to do that too with Spotfire. They each have their own Spotfire server because we deploy infrastructure as code, and we have moved to the new Debian Linux-based model, which is drastically lower cloud cost for us. And so you can see that this is all just deployed as code. We can change things, we can modify things very easily, and scale them up and down. Gives us observability into everything to be able to monitor kind of this large number of servers as if they were just one for us to manage, which has been amazing. I don't think any other self-service tool like Spotfire could do this.
Thank you, Brock. Let's go to the next question for Enertel. How do you handle code development and execution?
It's a great question. Definitely not pre-planned. So we handle code execution a little bit differently. Because we're giving our customers a DXP, we have no control over their environment. We have no control over a lot of the IT constraints and things like that. So we need something that works across every platform or multiple versions of Spotfire going all the way back to 12, 12 and prior. So we've been building this tool since 7.11, I believe. So it's been a while. So there's a lot of constraints when it comes to running Python or R code and things like that. And so for our tool, and we're showing all of our code here. In our tool, if you look at each one of the data functions, as you click through them, you can see that they have the exact same script. So we're pulling scripts from our repo, or really an S3 bucket, and that S3 bucket's tied to our repo. So if I have 60 plus clients and we send a new feature update, I don't need to send out 60 new DXPs. We can just push that code live. That code automatically goes downstream to our clients because every time they're running or executing a data function, that fresh code is being pulled in, executed locally, and running on their machine. So in terms of development, it just enables us to be able to rapidly develop new features, propagate that throughout our entire client base, and not have to worry about sending new DXPs out to everybody. Because a lot of, the nice thing about Spotfire is if I give you the tool, you can build on top of that tool. You can customize it, you can add visualizations. So we don't want to undo all that work that our clients are doing by having to send them a new file. So definitely useful.
What value does the Spotfire ecosystem bring to WiseRock Solutions and the energy industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think it comes down to what Michael started with at the beginning of the day, the rapid application development capabilities of Spotfire. You can build it to where, you're not using document properties or, Iron Python or the text areas, and you'll just have a dashboard with 20 tabs. But if you do get into those more advanced functionality, you can build a whole operational system that can be used every day to get the job done. And so for that to be available to the industry is huge, and for that to be available to us, we're really moving to a model where we want to be able to have more of a forward deployed teams feel at WiseRock, where we have a core platform that's really managed very closely, and the styling and everything is really trying to stay consistent, but that there be a team with customers that can just use Spotfire and other potential low-code integrations to very rapidly iterate, maybe on a daily basis for solutions for the customer. What we found with Spotfire is, you could plan for 2 weeks on a whiteboard and a document of like the perfect solution for some process, and if instead you had just iterated 10 times in 10 days with Spotfire, you will for sure end up with a better solution. And so that enables us to do something with Spotfire no other software company could when it comes to data-driven applications.
So this question is for Enertel. How do you maintain the non-web player solution to maintain your code? I think we already talked about it, but if you want to expand more on that, or
Yeah, same. I mean, we kind of hit on this, and you can, next slide. So, trying to get things coming from our code base remotely, even things such as theming, like the CSS themes that roll through and make things look the way they are, that's all coming automatically. So if you wanted to switch from a dark to a light theme, it's just changing what's getting pulled in pretty easily. So having this environment in Spotfire just be as flexible as it is just gives us the ability to make customizations like this or have a very different experience from client A to client B with the click of a button.
perfect, thank you. Now, last question for WiseRock is how do you plan to leverage Spotfire capabilities in the future?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we want to do is get a lot more into mods. That's an amazing way to just build literally anything you want from a data visualization perspective. We also plan to really lean more into the observability, even automated testing on top of WiseRock. We want the things that our customer success teams build in Spotfire to feel as reliable and performant as the native application, and the Spotfire ecosystem will allow us to manage those, manage the Spotfire side with the same software engineering best practices as a React application in many ways. And so we'll be doing more and more of that over time.
Okay, thank you, Brock. So before we open the Q&A for you guys, let me just announce the winners of the hackathon. Thank you for everyone who participated. So we have the Mario Ortiz from Oxy. I think he's here in the audience. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mario. That was a fine submission. A lot of effort, guided analytics, very nice. And then we have Martin Lozano, also second place. And Jolene Robertson from Forecast. She's not here, but congratulations to her. Okay, so let's go to that's Mario Ortiz. So this is the winner. It's very neat. It has a lot of JavaScript components. Here's a pop-up. You can just go and go through the background and what you're looking for to drill the next well. And you have some recommendations here also with this pop-up. So it's very, very neat, very well done, and it's only one slide, more than enough to do that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you a little bit of how it went. That's Martin Lozano. It was a very cool feature because here on the slider, you can just slide one of the sliders, the matrix, this one right here, and you can see these bars scanning through this map, and you see the depth highlighting. It's very cool, and I think he did it within one day after the submission. He showcased that. That was pretty cool. Atir, you want to talk about a little bit of the house? He's all the way back there, but yeah, it's he has the microphone. Perfect.
Yeah, so this year hackathon is on the geothermal. We're basically using the Forge project data. The Forge is basically a geothermal project started in 2015. So they've been generating data since 2015 until today. The main ask or the main challenge is if we have this, let's say, geothermal field, where do we put the next wellbore? There is a lot of data sets. I think I counted around 83 data tables. And then that's the main challenge, like which data set you choose to start with to make your decision. So that's basically the hackathon idea.